Hi, I'm Emily Rose.
And I'm Dan Philgreen. Welcome to Shell Point Today for Monday, May 20th.
We'll buckle up for another fast-paced show.
So Inga, tell us about this car show.
Well, it's spring here in Florida, and we thought what better time to enjoy the weather than to be at a car show.
Absolutely.
So the residents have all come out. I think their favorite is probably the Bel Airs and the Packard back there. It's a 37 Packard, and many of them remember being in a rumble seat. Riding in the rumble seat.
Now, do any of your residents, did they have any cars like these?
Many of them did. And that was what's so nice about this car show is that so many of them are saying, I remember when I had a car like this. And one of the residents said over there, there's, what do they call those? The floorboards?
Oh, yeah, the running boards.
Running boards,
yeah.
They said, we used to have to ride on the running boards because when we would get back from the beach, my father didn't want the upholstery to get wet. And so he would make us ride on the running boards or stand on the running boards.
So where do these folks come from? Where do all these cars come from?
From Cape Coral Hot Rod Chili Rod Club.
Okay.
And they don't charge us. They said that they come out here specifically because they know the residents are happy to see cars that remind them of when they were young. In fact, a couple of these cars, he only comes out when it's for assisted living residents.
Okay, we've got the president here of the Cape Coral Hot Chili Rods. And your name, sir?
John Cassetta.
John Cassetta, and we're here with your beautiful Bel Air. Tell us about it.
It's a 1953 Bel Air, but it's all customized. It's got a Chevy V8 in it. It's got a Camaro frame under it. It's got overdrive transmission, power steering, power disc brakes, power seats, and that's about all we need.
Wow, that sounds like well enough. That's an amazing vehicle there. So I understand your club is pretty big. You've got about a couple hundred members, I hear. Is that right?
Yes, we do, but you can't get them all together at once.
Okay. How many cars does that represent?
A couple of hundred cars.
A couple of hundred cars. That's fantastic. Now, this isn't your first time out at Shell Point. I know you've been out here a couple times before.
We do the other side of Shell Point. We've done a couple of parades there and a couple other shows there that they had. They had a big open house one time. We did.
Yeah, I remember that. I was here for that.
And we had a bunch of cars here for that.
That's fantastic. Well, I just want to, on behalf of Shell Point, I want to thank you and your club for coming out. And I know our residents really enjoy seeing your beautiful vehicles. So what's your name, Woody?
Woodard, yeah, Woody. They call me Woody.
Okay, Woody. So how'd you like the show today?
53 Chevrolet.
You had a 53 Chevrolet. Tell me, what color was it?
It was green.
Green.
Yeah.
What was your favorite place you ever went in your 53 Chevrolet? Your favorite trip?
Or you could, unless you had to take the mules and pull yourself out of that.
Did you do that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Pull this 50
Many times.
with the mule. What do you know? So, what was your favorite trip in your 53 Chevrolet?
Oh, probably to the county fair.
County fair. All right. Did you? What did you do at the county fair?
What's that?
Did you like eat some cotton candy? Did you go on some rides?
Oh, yeah, the whole works. Just a kind of a change of the pace, you know.
Yeah, and then you had to drive home late at night from the county fair, all full of cotton candy, huh?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, and then back to the cotton patch where the cotton came from.
With your mules. Now, this one's my favorite here, folks, the 1957 Chevy. I happen to have been born in 57, and my dad had a red one when I was a kid, so very fond of this car. And this is what I call tail fins, people. This is the ultimate in tail fins right here, the 57 Chevy. Beautiful car. What do you think about these cars?
I used to own one. The Chevrolet, the white Chevrolet.
Hey, welcome to the car show. What's your name, sir?
Bob Harrigan.
You're Bob, and I understand you just rode all the way from the King's Crown out here to the Springs. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
Did you come down here often from the King's Crown on your bike?
Every day.
Every day. Every day, folks. Sir, what's your name?
Jim Stewart.
Jim Stewart, who lives over here at the Springs.
Yeah.
So, Jim, this beautiful Cobra replica, what do you think of this thing?
Absolutely astounding to catch something like this anywhere, especially this is beautiful.
How would you like to get your hands on 412 horsepower?
That looks like it jumped right out from under you.
Yeah, I think so. Well, hey, enjoy the show out
Well,
here.
thank you. I'm glad to be interviewed about it.
All right, have a great day. Are you enjoying the car show?
I'm enjoying it very much.
So are you a car person? Are you a car buff?
No, my son is.
Your son, what is he like?
He's got a beautiful red one, but don't ask me I think it's a Corvette.
Corvette. You know we got a Corvette right back here. It matches your jacket. This one back here, it matches your jacket. Did you see that? Look at that car. I'm thinking that could be the car for you.
Oh, you think so?
I think so.
Oh, well, that might be real good.
I think you'd like
Yes.
it. All right. Doug, and so tell us, this looks like a brand new vet you got here.
Pretty close.
Pretty close? How old?
It's a
old are you?
14.
It's a 2014?
I bought it brand new.
All right. Tell us about it. It's gorgeous.
It's fast, it's fun.
And it costs a lot of money. Now, this is a classic antique car show. I guess you've got a guaranteed classic already, right? Even though it's brand new.
Yeah, because it's a new style.
Yeah. Fabulous. Now, did you see this lady here in the blue jacket? Her jacket matches your car, and,
Really?
yeah, I would be careful. I'd watch her.
Oh, well, that might be real good.
You want to keep an eye on her.
I'll be all right.
Okay.
The other thing that was great, of course, is Love Boat ice cream. The residents
over here?
enjoyed all the Love Boat ice cream. I didn't get any yet, so maybe you and I will have to go get
Okay, well, hey, Inga and I are going to go get some of that ice cream.
Exactly.
Now, our marketing team is sampling the ice cream, so I think our TV team needs to do the same here pretty soon.
Last Friday at the Administration Circle on the island, it was a feast for the eyes, especially if you like shiny sports cars. And what's more American than the Corvette? Since 1953, these beauties have been seen on the American roadways. And hearing the revving of their engines can sure get the heart pounding. You could even say that Corvettes are the heartbeat of America. But before I start sounding like a commercial, let's take you back to last week to see some of these beautiful, powerful, and fast machines up close and meet some of their owners and see what the residents had to say.
What a fun, beautiful day we have for a Corvette show.
I know, I'm so excited. There's so much action going on here and so many bright colors of Corvettes, and I'm just so excited the turnout today.
That's fantastic. Now,
Yeah.
I didn't ever find the curlers, but
The
there are some
curlers?
donuts over there.
Yes, they're crullers.
Oh, crullers! Oh.
Yes, I've heard crawlers, crewlers, but it's crullers.
Crullers,
That's the
all right.
correct
Now,
pronunciation.
nobody's gotten confused about the cars, though. What
No
a beautiful
one's
collection
confused
we've
about
got
the cars.
here. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I'm taking votes of voters' People's Choice favorites, and right now this '57 Vet over here is
It's leading the pack.
It's
huh?
leading the pack right now. It's a beautiful red
I've been
car.
telling everybody, 1957 was the year I was born.
Oh, was
Hard
it?
to beat stuff that came out in 57.
Absolutely, classic.
All right, let's see the show.
Yes, let's see it.
Now, Marvin has a gorgeous car here. It's decked out as a Indy pace car. Tell us about the history of the Corvette as a pace car. I understand it's happened a number of times.
The Corvette paces the race maybe every other year. And when the Corvette paces the race, they produce 500 cars maximum.
Only 500.
And they're all decked out with special decals in interior and engine compartment and all the other stuff that comes with it. And each car is numbered.
Okay.
The first 50 they sell to the Indianapolis racetrack, and they use that to haul the dignitaries around the track. The other 450 go around the country, one to each dealer, and they're all numbered and they're all sold to individuals.
Wow! And I take it yours is number 197.
Yeah, 197 of 500. You are correct.
I can pick up a few things once in a while. So.
Yes.
Gary Gentile has his beautiful white Corvette with a nice white Corvette shirt to go with it.
There you go.
All right, got the whole package. Tell us about your car, Gary.
It's a 2013 60th anniversary special edition, collector edition Corvette. They only made 880 of these, and this 505 horsepower. It's a 6-speed manual transmission, and that's about it. It's all carbon fiber.
Wow.
Instead of fiberglass, it's carbon fiber.
What the body is?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. If you look at the hood, you can see just the hood, but the fenders are carbon fiber.
That's amazing. All right. Was that a special edition thing, or?
Yeah, it was a special edition. Like I say, they only made 800. And it's the last year they made the 427 engine. They don't make that anymore.
No more 427s. Oh, that's a sad thing.
So,
except at the gas pump, right?
Right.
Well, thanks for showing us your car, Gary. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Gene, and tell me about your beautiful brown Corvette here. It looks like one from the 70s.
It's a 1974.
You know, when I was in high school when your car came out,
Uh-huh.
and of course, every high school boy salivated over these cars. So I really have very fond and vivid memories of these particular vets from this era. Wayne has an unbelievable blue beauty here. This is a 1959. What a classic.
Right.
Tell us about it.
Well, I bought it 3 years ago. It was out behind the barn in New Jersey for over 25 years.
Oh my
junked.
goodness!
And I bought it, brought it here from New Jersey, and in about a year and a half it took me to restore it.
So you restored this yourself?
I restored every
my
inch of it.
goodness.
It went in my Cape Coral garage as junk, and it came out like this.
Wow! Well, congratulations. That is an amazing accomplishment. It is
Thank you.
a gorgeous machine. And we're here with Robin Church from the Salon and Spa with some of her staff who are out here giving free trims today. And I just came by and she said, I really kind of need one. So what do you think?
Look at this. Absolutely. Look at
What a
this
mi-
neck
how-
hair here. Shabby.
They'll let anybody on TV, right?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get it done, Robin.
Come on, you're a personality.
Okay, I gotta take my glasses off. No one's gonna recognize me now.
Can't see now.
I'm in disguise.
I gotta put mine on. Oh, and look at those eyebrows.
Woo! Those are some wild eyebrows.
Hey, Dan's got a nice curly one there. We're just gonna clip that off. Straighten up those eyebrows a little.
Bob, you have a really interesting car here with some special features. I take it those doors are not a factory option.
They are not. You just raise it up.
Look at that.
There's a hydraulic shock built into the hinge, which takes the weight off the door. You'd never be able to raise. You'd never be able to raise the door. Then I changed the steering wheel, the racing steering wheel. It's a 6-speed. I changed the interior, and I even did the carbon fiber in here on the consoles, and I put the seat belts in. I can go either way with the seat belts. And I put red leather in. This used to be black. And just did a little trim, little red accent points around.
It really does look great. I'm here with Paul Schnees, and Paul has a very special relationship with the Corvette because he spent a good part of his career building them. Paul, tell me, how long were you working on building Corvettes?
I built Corvettes from 1984 to 1993.
That's fantastic. You were an engineer on the line, if I recall correctly.
I had the privilege of being the plant manager of the Corvette assembly plant.
That's phenomenal. So you saw a lot of Corvettes get built.
A lot of Corvettes.
And now this beautiful 93 is the anniversary edition, correct?
That's the 40th anniversary edition. That's the 40th year the car was built, starting in 53. That's 93, so that's 40 years out.
That's fantastic.
That's why the color is marketed as ruby red, which is really a burgundy. So it's burgundy over burgundy, if you would. So the interior, the top, and everything is burgundy. So it's a very special car.
And you had the privilege, I understand, of driving this off the line yourself.
Yeah, I had just retired about a month before that. And so I went back in and watched the car get built, and I drove the car off the assembly line.
That is fantastic. What a great story.
Do you have a favorite Corvette?
Oh my, that's hard, but you know, the 57, since I was born in 57, kind of calling my name.
You're giving out your age, Dan.
Sounds like it's kind of ahead in the voting rankings, as I hear too. So.
Oh, yeah?
You know, I told him, it's hard to beat anything from 57, right?
Absolutely. That's an antique.
No. Let's not get personal. Jim is the owner of this gorgeous red 57 Chevy Corvette. Came off the assembly line the same year I did, so I have a particular affinity for your car. Tell us a little bit about it. I understand it's a solid axle Corvette.
It's a solid axle Corvette. It's fuel injected. It's 4-speed. It has all the amenities you can get in 1957, except for power windows, which the person who bought it new didn't get that. But
They had power windows in 57.
Yeah.
I'm not so old after all.
But it has everything. It's all original. It's been gone over twice, you know, but I've had it about 20 years, and I love the car. I just said it's getting harder to drive without the power steering, power brakes.
Well, I'm glad you brought it out. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Oh, thank you very much.
You know, you might think this is Caitlin's car because it's recently been on Shell Point TV playing the part of Caitlin's car.
I didn't see that yet.
Well, you're going to have to watch that, Mike, but this is actually Michael Anthony's car. So this is a Shell Point staff vehicle. Now, of course, Mike's one of our Shell Point drivers, and you can expect this car to pick you up instead of the bus.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
We've got a Corvette Club president here. Tell us your name, sir.
Darren McClarty.
And your club is the
Southwest Florida Corvette Club.
Excellent, and we appreciate you being here, your whole club today, on behalf of Shell Point. Thank you so much for bringing your beautiful cars here.
No problem.
They are great. So tell us a little bit about the club. How many cars are involved in your club?
Well, we have approximately 100 members, and I think the last count was 94 Corvettes.
Wow. Almost one per member.
Well, we have some members that we have one member that has 15.
15!
So we have a lot of multiple members that have multiple Corvettes.
What other kinds of things are your folks doing?
2 car shows a year at Victory Lane Chevrolet, and the proceeds go to Harry Chapin Food Bank and local charities.
Okay, very nice.
So we do that twice a year. And then we have monthly dinners. We all go out to dinner once a month together, and parades. We go 4th of July parades, Veterans Day parades, any place that we're invited.
We've just run into a celebrity here at Shell Point. It's Heather Batty's dad.
Hello there.
Hey, and he happens to own a Corvette, this beautiful yellow one. What year is your Corvette?
That's a 2006.
All right. And
my daughter named this. It's really yellow.
Yeah.
Because the first time she saw it, she says, "Hey, Papa, it's really yellow."
It is really yellow. Very good.
And I'd like to thank Shell Point, too, for putting this on. They did a fantastic job. Everybody loves it. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate all of you bringing your beautiful machines out here and sharing them with the people. It's really terrific.
And it didn't rain. Yeah. Donuts. All the people love them. It's turned out great.
And this is the co-pilot of Really Yellow. It's Heather's mom. Say hi to her.
Hi. How y'all doing?
We've enjoyed having your daughter working with us here. It's been great.
Oh, thank you very much.
Were you both looking for the curlers? The hair curlers. I understand there's curlers.
Well, I think it's some kind of a donut.
Curlers?
Curling.
Like
curling.
Canadian curling?
Yeah, that's what we wanted.
Oh, well, yeah, I know they said there's curlers around here somewhere. I'm looking for these curlers.
I want to take a tray with me. You know, do they?
Oh. You mean crullers?
Oh.
Oh. I think I'm going to try one myself. Yeah. Yeah, I think chewing on a curler would not have been nearly as pleasant.
I wanted to thank everybody for coming out, the Corvette owners especially for displaying your beautiful cars. We couldn't have had an event without you, so thank you so much. And I'm just here to announce the winners. In third place, Best in Show prize goes to Bobby Wright for his 2001 C5 Vet. And second place goes to Wayne Bayous for the Powder Blue 59. And in first place, Best of Show, is Jim McLaughlin with his 1957 Vet. Yeah, congratulations.
Suppose I'm out of the water like you never see. I get pushed out of shape and it's hard to steer. But I get rubbery in all four gears. She's my little deuce coupe. You don't know what I got. She's my little deuce coupe. You don't know what I got.
Well, hello there. It's a great honor for me to be here at Shell Point today. I've traveled many miles from the great state of Kentucky to tell you about my famous, to talk about the great country in which we live, how we fight for our freedom, and the men and women who work hard in the kitchen every day, cooking up an original recipe of, wait a minute, that's right. I mean, our forefathers who adopted the Declaration of Independence. That's what we want to talk about today. Yes. And we celebrate Independence Day, when in 1776, Congress declared the 13 American colonies as a new nation. 13 colonies that made up the greatest nation in the world. That's unlocked by 11 of the spices that make for the greatest fried chicken in the world. Hey, was Kentucky one of them 13 colonies? No? Well, it should have been. Then maybe they could have had some of this great fried chicken when they fought the Revolutionary War. Now listen, you can't fight the British on an empty stomach, and nothing backs better for heading off to battle than a bucket of my delicious... Was there? Oh yeah, the history lesson, yes. It was John Adams who predicted the importance of Independence Day and how we Americans would commemorate this important event with parades, games, bonfires, and yes, plenty of food, just like my 10-piece bucket of chicken here. Now that's the way you put on a celebration. What's that? Wrap it up? You want dinner to go? Well, we have fine service to go, as well as dine-in facilities at more than 4,000 restaurants nationwide. Anyway, so Shell Point, you go out and celebrate the 4th. Be proud to be an American. Wave your flags, fly your banners, and don't forget to tuck in a table napkin, because you don't want any of my delicious, greasy, fried chicken goodness to drip on your shirt. It's finger-looking good.
Well, today, as everyone knows, is Independence Day. Other than enjoying the concert with the Ditchfield Family Singers today at the Village Church, let's find out how some residents are spending their 4th.
I've dropped in here to this place called Shell Point. I understand there's a lot of young whippersnappers living around here. You know, I'm 240 years old this year, so I'm going to talk to some of the young people in this place. I'm proud of this niece. This is Carol Ashley. So, Carol, I want to know, what do you appreciate about America?
I love America. I especially love Shell Point because we have wonderful people like you to keep us entertained on Shell Point TV. Colonel.
Okay, well, hey, I'm actually I'm Uncle Sam today. But anyway, so how are you going to celebrate the 4th, Carol?
Well, I'm going to a line dance class at 9 o'clock. I'm going to practice some dance classes at 10 o'clock. I'm coming over to the wonderful Crystal shindig, 4th of July presentation for lunch and probably through dinner. And then I'm going to the presentation at the church.
Terrific. Sounds like a wonderful way to make a day of it.
Thank you, Dan.
Joe,
So how are you going to celebrate the 4th, my nephew?
plane ride back to Arizona.
From one hot place to another, huh?
Yeah, but from no humidity.
Yeah, I might come with you.
I've been wringing wet since I left.
I might get on the plane with you. What do you like about America?
It gives me the freedom to worship God the way I want to. It gives me many liberties that other countries do not have, and so I love America.
Very important, very wonderful freedoms we have. And how are you going to celebrate that on the 4th?
Well, I will be going to the Crystal with friends, and then we'll be going over to the church to see the concert.
What do you appreciate about America?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Excellent answer. And how are you going to celebrate the 4th?
I'm here to claim back what's rightfully ours, like piece by piece.
All right, get out of here. He's going to take back what's his, one donut at a time. Yes, I'm here to wish you a happy 4th of July. And I'm curious to find out what you appreciate about America.
There's so many things about America to appreciate.
Like me, right?
Like Uncle Sam for sure.
And how are you going to celebrate the 4th?
I'm going to grill out on my new grill.
Woo, I'm coming over. Yeah. All right, how about you, young lady? Now, everyone's young because I'm 240 years old. You know that. Okay.
You are every day.
Hmm?
You know, we travel an awful lot, and we just love coming back to home.
No papers, no hassle, state to state, right?
State to state and around the world.
And that blue passport is pretty well respected most places.
Respected most places, yes. But
how excellent is that?
But everywhere you travel, you see things, and you just thank God you're here.
Me too. So how are you going to celebrate all of that on the 4th?
We're going to have hot dogs.
Woo, okay. Hot dogs, grilling. What a great way to celebrate my birthday. Here's one of my nephews and another niece right now. So what do you all appreciate about America?
Oh, I love traveling America and seeing all the various things. We just came back from a road trip and we traveled to California and Michigan and Colorado and Arizona and Texas and Virginia and North Carolina. It's just
Whoa,
great.
You've seen all of my places.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
And what are you going to do for the 4th?
I'm going to be here.
No traveling on the 4th.
No traveling on the 4th.
All right, home sweet home.
Yep.
And Dee.
Good morning.
I know you appreciate traveling.
I do. I love to travel.
That blue passport works pretty well, doesn't it?
It works good. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave.
There we go. And what are you going to do on the 4th?
Having a cookout.
A cookout. It's a common theme I'm hearing. Mike was the mayor of one of my fine cities.
Mhm.
And how long were you the mayor of Sanibel, Mike?
I was mayor 2 years. I had 2 terms, 4-year terms on the council, and I served as mayor 1 year out of each term.
Well, I thank you for your service, my nephew.
Well, it was very enjoyable. I'm happy to have you interview me.
Well, thank you. And this man makes a mean teapot, I got to tell you, too. So, Mike, what do you appreciate about America?
Well, I appreciate the fact that I can go anywhere I want. I can say almost anything I want. And I can try any profession or job that I want. So I'm happy to be an American.
Well, I'm proud to have you as an American.
Yeah.
And how are you going to celebrate the 4th?
Well, I don't have any special plans. Our court is going to have a little get-together and...
Get together with friends.
Yeah.
Say, as one icon to another, Santa, I want to ask you about your whiskers. Yours are doing a lot better than mine. You got any secrets for me?
Keep them growing.
All right.
They're going to turn white eventually.
Well, hello there. Colonel Highland Sanders here, and I'm honored to be back here visiting once again with all of you at Shell Point on this special holiday. Now, you might say that I'm thankful. What? Nobody else around here thought that was funny? Oh, well. Now, I've taken a break today from selling my delicious fried chicken, which, by the way, is available for your convenience at any of my more than 4,000 locations nationwide. Yes, I'm actually here to talk about why we celebrate Thanksgiving and what it means to me personally. Now, for more than 2 centuries, days of Thanksgiving were celebrated by the individual colonies and the states. But in 1863, during the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln proclaimed a National Thanksgiving Day to be held each November. Now wait a minute. I thought Thanksgiving was about the Pilgrims and the Indians coming together and having a big feast. Now, there was the first Thanksgiving. Okay, let me tell the story my way. Now, you see, back in the 1600s, way before the Civil War, the great colonels like myself, there were the early settlers of Massachusetts called Pilgrims. Now, after a hard winter, the local native tribes taught them about hunting and fishing and how to store up their food. Now, by the next autumn harvest, they had a big celebration. It was quite a feast. But unlike the current tradition, there was no turkey. No, they had goose and they had fish, and of course, they had some fried chicken, just like here. Now, unfortunately, there were no skilled chefs like yours truly. No, they didn't have them delicious 11 herbs and spices on their chicken. You got to travel down the great state of Kentucky for that, the home of my delicious secret recipe that has won the world over. Now, right now, you can get a delicious, finger-licking good 10-piece meal for... Oh, okay, we'll stick to Thanksgiving. Oh, okay. So, my friends, on this special day, we take time to come together with friends and family to give thanks. Now, don't forget to celebrate just like the Pilgrims did. By now, you can do it better with our delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken. Just visit one of the... Oh, yeah. What? Time's up? I'm just getting started. Well, one more thing. I got to tell them about the mashed potatoes and the gravy, or how the extra crispy recipe came to be. Well, okay, just one more thing before we go. Shell Point, happy Thanksgiving. Now, go out and celebrate a delicious meal. You know what's really delicious, don't you? Because it's so good, you gotta gobble it up. Now, wait a minute, you know that's funny. Gobble it? Some people don't understand humor.
And now it's time to cover all today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Hello, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This is the happening segment of Shell Point TV, and I'm Bev Chandley. We have 3 activities offered for you here today on Thanksgiving. We have an 8 o'clock Men's Golf Association at the Shell Point Golf Club. We have a 2 o'clock stamp ministry going on in the stamp room on the island, and we have a 4:30 Alcoholics Anonymous meeting at the Sable Room. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will see you back here again tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Terry Colath. I'm the manager of the Academy of Lifelong Learning, and we have no classes today because it is Thanksgiving Day. Offices will be closed, and the Academy and I wish you a blessed and happy Thanksgiving.
Menus for Thanksgiving Day. In the Crystal Room, they are featuring a Thanksgiving buffet for $27.95, and they will be closed for dinner. In the Island Cafe, the sandwich special is a hot turkey sandwich with a green beans and stuffing for $7.95. And the Palm Grill features a Thanksgiving special menu from 11 until 4. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and happy Thanksgiving. You know, as I think about the events that led to the first Thanksgiving, one of the things that occurs to me was what a lousy travel agent the Pilgrims had. Yeah, the Pilgrims were a bunch of Protestant Calvinist Christians who had separated themselves from the Church of England. Their religious freedom was restricted in England, so in 1608 they left England and settled in the Netherlands. And while they were able to worship according to their consciences in Holland, they found the culture there objectionable both morally and economically. And so after 11 years of struggle, they sought yet another alternative. And that's where their lousy travel agent got involved. He put 102 of them on a cruise across the Atlantic Ocean starting in September of 1620. That meant that the 3-month voyage had them landing in Massachusetts in November, a terrible time of the year to establish a colony. This was not the growing season for anything except perhaps for disease. And so once they landed in late November, the first thing they did was have a prayer meeting. These people were serious about their faith and knew that their welfare depended on God. But once their prayer service was over, they got to work, building shelters, doing the best they could to prepare for the winter, which would come quickly. And the winter did come quickly and wreaked havoc among the Pilgrim settlers. Nearly half of their population died in the first year. But once spring arrived, a new optimism spread. Crops were planted, many of the sick recovered, and with the help of new Native American friends, they produced a rich harvest in the summer of 1621. William Bradford, the governor of the colony, would write, "They began now to gather in the small harvest they had, and to fit up their houses and dwellings against winter, being well recovered in health and strength, and had all things in good plenty. For some were thus employed in affairs abroad, others were exercised in fishing, about cod and bass and other fish, of which they took good store, of which every family had their portion. All summer there was no want, and besides waterfowl there was a great store of wild turkeys, of which they took many, besides venison, etc." Well, Edward Winslow, also among the pilgrims, wrote to a friend and recounted the first feast as it unfolded. He said, "Many of the Indians coming amongst us, and among the rest of their greatest, King Massasoit, with some 90 men, whom for 3 days we entertained and feasted. And they went out and killed 5 deer, which they brought to the plantation, and bestowed upon our governor and upon the captain and others. And although it be not always so plentiful as it was at this time with us, yet by the goodness of God we are so far from want that we often wish you partakers of our plenty." Now, this story, of course, is the stuff on which legends are built, but this was a legend rooted in reality. A harsh reality, to be sure, but a reality experienced by a people of implicit faith in a sovereign and loving God, in fact, the God of the Bible. It was no surprise, then, that regular Thanksgiving feasts began to be celebrated, beginning in New England, spreading south, and later becoming institutionalized by the Continental Congress of the fledgling nation which would become the United States. Samuel Adams inaugurated the first Thanksgiving proclamation with these words, "Forasmuch as it is the indispensable duty of all men to adore the superintending providence of Almighty God, to acknowledge with gratitude their obligation to Him for benefits received, together with penitent confession of their sins, whereby they had forfeited every favor, and their humble and earnest supplications that it may please God through the merits of Jesus Christ, mercifully to forgive and blot them out of remembrance. It is therefore recommended to set apart Thursday, the 18th day of December next, for solemn thanksgiving and praise, that with one heart and one voice the good people may express the grateful feeling of their hearts and consecrate themselves to the service of their divine benefactor." You know, we are far removed from those historical events, but I hope not too far removed from them in our attitudes and dispositions. And as we eat turkey and watch football, I trust that you will take time to express genuine thanksgiving to the God of all creation for the extraordinary blessings that we enjoy. And so may God richly bless you this very special holiday. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and thank you for joining us on Village Church Connections.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. On tomorrow's program, Margie Lee will bring us another talented artist in our Art Chat segment. We'll get a behind-the-scenes look at some changes happening here in our SPTV studios, and we'll recap the top stories from this week. This has been Shell Point Today for Thursday, November 24th. I'm Adam Brown, and on behalf of everyone here, we'd like to wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Well, by now I'm sure you've rounded up your cowboy hats, boots and spurs, chaps and rope in preparation for tomorrow's hometown hoedown. But in case you just haven't got around to it, or you just don't seem to be in the steer rustling, cattle roping, range riding, campfire cooking, sharpshooting mood, then we thought the least we could do here at Shell Point TV is make one last attempt at getting you there.
Oh, let's see here. Oh boy, what a day. So much going on today. Man, I need to take a break. Wow.
Hey, Dan, there you are.
Hey, Rich, how you doing?
I've been looking all over for you.
Yeah, I'm right here. Just been cleaning up from the shoot today.
Oh, that's good. Listen, I need your help with something.
Okay, yeah.
I need you to come up with a great idea for a promo for this year's Hoedown.
Hoedown?
Yeah, it's the signature event that they're doing.
Oh, welcome back all the snowbirds from up
Yes,
north. Okay.
yes, it'll be great.
Kick
It's
off
going
the
to be
season.
exciting.
Yeah.
So I need your help with this. Check
All
this
right,
out.
all right, all right.
The Hometown Hoedown, October 27th. Man, they've got a bake sale. There's going to be all types of fun and games. There's a square dance. There's even going to be live music, hayride. Dan, are you listening?
Oh, yeah, the hoedown.
You okay?
It's been a long day. I'm just kind of tired.
Well, listen, I just need you to do this one more thing. All kinds of food, and there's even going to be a court chili cook-off.
Chili? Oh, I like chili.
Yes, and so it's going to be really great. This hoedown's going to be awesome.
Okay.
So I need you to work on, the best promo you can
All
come
right.
up with for this.
You got it.
Listen, I've got to head over to the train room and meet
Okay.
Melody. There's something going on over there. The train
Okay.
ran off the tracks or something, and they want to promote that for some reason.
All right.
So listen, do your best to come up with something for the hoedown.
The hoedown.
Yes, the hoedown.
Okay.
So you got that. October 27th.
October
Fun
27th.
games. Work on the promo, and when I get back, we'll finish this thing up. Okay?
Chili.
All right.
We'll
Good
take
job,
that.
man.
All right.
We'll see you later.
Okay. Bake sale, fun and games, whatever. I need to take a little nap, I think. Chili. Whoa, what in tarnation? Whoa. Well, there's a horse here. Something familiar about that horse. That's my horse. Where did these clothes come from? And what's that cantankerous smell? Smells like maybe some grub. Smells pretty good. Ooh, that's some mighty fine chili. What's that? What's that? Oh. Easy, big fella. No, don't have to be scared. Oh, all right, you. Now I know you're in there. I heard you coming from miles away. Now you show yourself you're here. You yellow-bellied scoundrel. Before I pump your carcass full of lead.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
What? You're a woman. What are you doing out in these parts, slinking around my camp? You could have got yourself shot there, woman. Besides, you scared me. You scared my horse here.
Well, I'm sorry, mister. I didn't mean to scare your horse. Well, but I saw your fire and I smelled your chili and I'm real hungry.
So you want some of my chili, do you? Well, there ain't enough, ma'am. There's just enough for me and my horse here.
Well, all right, but Kate's the name. How you doing?
Hello there, Miss Kate. My name's Cowboy Dan.
Hi.
Some folks call me the Man in Black and Blue, seeing as I fall off my horse occasionally.
Well, that's nice to meet you.
You look familiar. Have we met before?
Well, no, I highly doubt it, sir. I'm not from around here. I'm on a long journey. I'm on my way to the Shell Point Ranch.
The Shell Point Ranch, eh?
That's right. I've been on a long journey, and I had my horse in my wagon, but I lost him in a card game of Samba.
Samba?
Or was it Duplicate Bridge? Well, I don't know.
Ma'am, I don't think those games work that way. No wonder you lost.
Well, those are the only kind of card games we play at Shell Point. They're pretty popular. In fact, we've got a whole lot of fun and games coming to the Shell Point Ranch at the Hoedown on October 27th. I sure will be glad to make it back there.
Ma'am, it's right dangerous out in these parts. Why, you could get attacked by a rattlesnake or a coyote or a timeshare salesman.
Coyote?
That's right, or one of them Florida Panthers or a timeshare salesman.
Oh, no.
No, ma'am, we wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you out here on the range.
Well, that's mighty nice of you, being all neighborly. Does that mean I can have some of that chili?
I guess so.
Woo-wee, that is some mighty fine chili. That'll make your tongue slap your pappy.
Well, I'm glad you approve, ma'am.
Approve? That's the best chili I've ever had. You know, you could enter that into our chili cook-off at the Hoedown.
The Hoedown? What Hoedown?
The one I was telling you about on October 27th. There's hay rides and games and music. And the chili cook-off, you could win a prize.
Prize?
Oh, yeah. Oh. What's that noise?
Them's Indians! Run for your life! Man sakes alive. They're eating up all my good chili.
Better the chili than your horse.
I think them Indians is Seminoles. Florida State Seminoles.
No, Florida State Seminoles, they have all those pads and helmets and stuff.
What are we gonna do now?
Well, we could wait for the Indians to leave.
No, I mean about the chili. There's none left for the Hoedown.
You were gonna come to the Hoedown? Oh, Cowboy Dan, I know you can win with that chili. I just know it.
Not anymore, there's none left.
Well, I tell you what, we'll wait till sunup. Then we'll go to the next town, and we'll find a general store, and we'll get all your beans and all your ingredients. And we'll make a new batch, and we'll bring it to the Hoedown. Cowboy Dan, give me a minute.
Tarnation? Whoa! Oh! Oh! Ah! That hurts.
Them Indians are moving on.
What did you do out there?
Well, I just gave them a swift kick.
Wow. Not much left to do, but wait until sunup. Might as well get some shut-eye. I sure am tired.
Oh, I can hardly sleep. I'm still thinking about that hoedown at Shell Point Ranch. Oh, it's going to be so exciting, Cowboy Dan. You'll see. On October 27th, there's going to be kettle corn, country music, square dancing, country barbecue, games, and chili.
Chili. Chili.
Cowboy Dan? Cowboy Dan? Cowboy Dan? Cowboy Dan?
Dan.
Cowboy Dan?
Dan! Dan! Wake up! Did you work on the promo?
Promo.
For the Hoedown.
The Hoedown! Oh, the Hoedown with the big sale and the games and
Yeah.
the square dance and the live music and the chili? That Hoedown?
Oh, wow, Dan, you're a lot more excited about this than you were earlier.
Rich. I just had this crazy dream.
A dream?
I dreamed that Caitlin and I were cowboys in the Old West, out on the range. Yeah, there was horses, we got attacked by Indians, and then there's this big old pot of chili, and hey, why don't we do an idea like that for the promo?
I don't think so, Dan.
No?
I think it needs a lot more work than that. We can't do cowboys.
Yeah, you're right. Way too much work.
Yeah, listen, you keep working at this idea and let me know when you come up with something else.
Okay.
Listen, I got to go meet with Mary Kay Grimaldi about the
All right, you do
segments
that.
next week.
Yeah, I got this covered.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay, keep working.
Okay, we got the big sale, fun games, square dance, chili. Well, the chili would really. Whoa. Check this out. Maybe, just maybe, I really am Cowboy Dan. Y'all come out to the Hoedown, you hear?
Earlier this week, Shell Point held its signature event featuring a country and western theme. The Hometown Hoedown, as it was called, was a great event of games, music, food, and entertainment. In order to promote the event and have a little fun doing so, Shell Point TV produced a 3-part comedy piece where yours truly falls asleep and dreams of being a cowboy. Now, we spent a lot of time and effort in order to pull off this little endeavor, and it was also accompanied by a lot of goof-ups and laughs. And so we thought we'd share some of them with you on today's show, just like you might find in those special features on a DVD of one of your favorite Hollywood features. Now, we're not kidding ourselves. We know this was no Hollywood feature, which is all the more reason why we had plenty of bloopers.
Please don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Well, you're a woman. Well, what are you doing slinking around my camp like this there, woman? You could get yourself shot.
Okay. Don't look at the camera.
Well, I thought we were done.
What's the matter? What's the matter?
All right, we're rolling.
Paper? It's paper.
Okay.
He doesn't like paper.
Yeah.
My name's Cowboy Dan. Hi. Some folks call me the man in black and blue, seeing as I fall off my horse occasionally.
Oh.
So, what's my next line?
Well, I don't know. Well, those are the only kind of card games we play at Shell Point. They're pretty popular. But I'm gonna do it again. They're pretty popular. They're pretty popular. They're pretty popular. I know, it's like...
You really need some...
In fact, we've got all sorts of fun and games coming to the hoedown. Shoot.
Well, hey, you come out here. Come here and show yourself. You remember the line? I know you're in there. Well, I heard you coming from miles away. Now, you come out here and show yourself, or I bump your lily-livered, yellow-bellied... Well, Missy, there's a lot of dangerous Christians.
Christians.
A lot of dangerous Christians. Well, it's dangerous. Like, you could get attacked by a rattlesnake or a coyote or a timeshare salesman.
By action.
Coyotes?
That's right, ma'am.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Where do we go from there? That's right, ma'am. Or one of them Florida Panthers or a timeshare salesman.
Oh, no.
I sure wouldn't want something to happen.
Okay. I sure wouldn't want something to happen to a nice little, pretty little filly like you.
Well, that's odd and naughty.
That's odd. Yeah, that's odd. We wouldn't want to see something happen to a pretty little filly like you out here.
Well, that's mighty neighborly of you. I talk like
And action.
Sorry. Okay. Approve? Are you gonna...
Oh, approve.
Like,
Stand up there and talk to her.
Cowboy Dan?
Okay.
Action.
Well, I'm glad you approve, ma'am. Well, I'm glad you approve, ma'am.
Can we just do it again?
Well, I'm glad you approve, ma'am.
Approve? That's the best darn chili I've ever had. You could win a prize.
A prize?
Oh, yeah. Forgot my line.
What's that?
Music and the chili cook-off.
The chili cook-off?
Sorry.
Almost.
Sorry.
So close.
Orders and action.
Wait a minute. My rope is all whacked.
Wax
City
rope.
Slickers, you
We
think
need
you
a
can come
rope,
out here for a
Wrangler.
week and get your ropes all the knots out of your rope? All right, ready?
Yep, we're still rolling.
Well, I'm glad you approved, ma'am.
Approve? You could put that. You could enter it. Sorry. I'm so excited thinking about that hoedown at Shell Point Ranch on October 27th. Oh, I forgot my line. I can hardly sleep thinking about that hoedown at Shell Point Ranch on October 27th. Oh man, I forgot my line again. I'm so excited, Cowboy Dan, about the hoedown at the Shell Point. What? I can hardly sleep thinking about the hoedown at the Shell Point Ranch on October 27th. Sorry.
No, that was right.
I know, but it was super corny.
Okay.
My accent didn't come through. I
can hardly sleep thinking about that hoedown at Shell Point Ranch on October 27th. That's so dumb.
I know it sounds corny, but
On October 27th, there's gonna be square dancing, barbecue lunch, games and fun, and I need to be a little bit more country with that. On October 27th, there's gonna be square dancing.
What are we gonna do? No, what is it, Seminoles?
Man, sakes alive. They're eating up all my good chili. Oh.
Better chili.
I know, I thought he had to say something else. Cowboy Dan, I know you can win with that chili. I just know it.
Not anymore. There's none left.
But I tell you what, we'll wait till sunup. Then we'll go to the next town and we'll find a general store and we'll get all your beans and all your ingredients. And we'll make a new batch and we'll bring it to the hoedown.
Okay.
What's the line?
He who learns to laugh at himself shall never lack for entertainment. And now it's time to take a look at today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Vanskoy, and I'm here to tell you about the Lobster Bake this coming Monday from 6 to 9 in the Woodlands Commons. I hope you bring your appetite. Dan, what are you doing here? Wait, I can't hear you.
Hi, Caitlin. I got you some lobsters for the lobster bake.
Well, let me see that. These look a little small, don't you think?
Too small?
We promised everyone over a pound lobster.
Over a pound? Well, these are no
These
good.
are too small.
Hey, I know.
What?
They got really big ones in Maine. I'll be right back.
Wait. Well, I guess he's going to Maine, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you Monday.
While we're all thinking about fun at the beach or relaxing at the pool this summer, we want to also keep you thinking about a very serious matter here in Florida in the summer: lightning.
Well, most of you know that our colleague Jared has moved on to pursue other goals, and Adam's taking a few days off for vacation, so I'm shooting this as a selfie. That's a new official word if you didn't know, selfie, and you can Google it up. And oh yeah, Google is a new verb, by the way. Anyway, the subject for today is lightning. Now, lightning can be 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 3 to 5 times as hot as the surface of the sun, which is awesome and just overwhelming. So we don't want to mess with lightning. It's estimated that lightning strikes the Earth 100 times every second. That's somewhere on the planet. That's 8.6 million strikes per day and over 3 billion a year. Florida is the lightning capital of the United States, as we all know, and most of the concentration is in Southwest Florida, right where we are. 92% of all lightning strikes between May and September, with July being the peak month with about 30% of all strikes. Now, unfortunately, last week on Fort Myers Beach, 3 people were struck by lightning and 1 of them was killed. Approximately 10% of the people who are hit by lightning do actually die. Besides the obvious burns that can happen, about 25% of those who are hit by lightning have some other kind of physiological or psychological damage, such as neurological problems, depression, ringing in the ears, hearing loss, or other issues. As one expert says, lightning messes with the body's wiring. So, lightning is serious and not something to be messed with. As we've heard before in our program, it can strike up to 10 miles away from where there's a storm. So if you can hear thunder, the lightning can hit you. And lightning can hit after the storm has passed. So you really need to wait about 30 minutes after the last thunder to make sure you're in the clear. If you're caught outside during a lightning storm, don't stay near anything tall, because the majority of fatal strikes are actually by bolts that go through the ground after hitting something nearby that's tall. A car is a great place to be during a lightning storm, because the metal of the car actually functions like a Faraday cage and directs the lightning around the occupants, so that's a good place to be. And counterintuitively, an airplane is also a pretty good place to be during a storm for the same reason. Now, even if you're in a house, lightning can travel through wiring or through pipes, so you want to stay away from anything that's plugged into the wall or from pipes or water. If someone happens to be struck near you and is unconscious, you can start CPR immediately. The body does not hold any charge from the lightning. That's a myth. So, when you're out and about, keep an eye on the sky and be aware of your surroundings. Whoa!
Okay, so let's all be careful out there.
And we're going to celebrate their style this month in the Crystal Dining Room with our latest theme, Dinner in New England.
Ahoy there, mateys! Captain Dan here. Now hear this, all you landlubbers. I just hauled up me nets from the briny deep, full of treats just for you. Why, I got me some Boston scrod. I got lobster for the best, don't you know? A mess of clams and other treats for your tummy. So set your sails for the Crystal Dining Room come Thursday, February the 7th from 4 to 7 p.m. Shiver me timbers, it's going to be a feast fit for Poseidon himself. So drop your anchor and come on in, and fair winds to you.
Now, I know that people still drive down to the Keys today, but from what I understand, it's a lot more fun to sail. And that brings us to our newest segment here on SPTV. You've heard of Hot Wheels. Today, we're taking it out on the water for Cool Keels with Barry Smith.
Hi, I'm Dan Philgreen, and we're here to introduce a whole new segment on Shell Point TV that kind of is an offshoot of Hot Wheels. We're calling it Cool Keels, and we're going to tell some stories about some boats that are around here at Shell Point. And today we're here aboard the beautiful Halcyon Days 3, which is a 34-foot tartan yacht that's owned by our friend Barry Smith. And the resident directory says that Barry lives in Lucina, but I think he actually lives here in the marina because he's here all the time. So Barry loves the boats and loves the water, and he's going to tell us about his beautiful sailboat today.
Nice wind. Well, this boat is a 1985 Tartan, and it was built by the Tartan Manufacturing Company, and it's 34 feet long. And the designer is one of America's best designers, Sparkman and Stevens. They're famous in the nautical design field. It sleeps 6, and Janet and I lived on the boat for 9 months, close to a year, when we bought the boat down the rivers from Chicago. When we lived on board, we have all the conveniences of home except a television set. We had hot and cold running water. We had a shower. We had propane gas stove and oven that you can get good apple pie out of. And we had it's a 12-volt refrigeration system. So everything you need to live very comfortably. So we motored all the way down the rivers, and so that takes care of the batteries. And when we're cruising away from every place, and we don't run the engine when we're cruising if we can avoid it. So if you're doing that, then with the refrigeration, you have to find 1 hour a day where you're going to run the engine, and we normally would do that at anchor. And while the engine's running, it's heating up the hot water tank. So it's a very efficient system. In a boat like this, we will do 6.5, 7 in decent wind under sail. We can go faster under sail than we can with the engine. So we can do 6 or 7 knots under sail. If it's blowing really hard, in big waves, surfing down waves, we've had this boat up to 12. And when you hit 12 in this boat, you begin to think that's plenty fast enough. I don't want to go any faster. Yeah. But we would do that in Lake Michigan, where you'd get big waves in Lake Michigan and surf down the waves. And this tells you your speed and your distance. Right now, our speeds through the water is 2.9 knots. There isn't much wind today, and we're going downwind. And that's your speed going through the water. It's not your speed over the ground. We are now the tide's coming in, so we're bucking the tide. And so we're not actually doing 2.9 over the ground. We're probably doing closer to 1.9 over the ground. There's about a knot of current through here or more. And then you flick that switch and that tells you how much distance we've gone since we started our trip. Almost 3 miles. And this is the critical instrument for Florida. It tells you, it's the depth indicator, and it tells you how deep the water is. We're in 16 or 15 feet of water here, and water in the west coast of Florida tends to be very thin, so you have to be careful and be familiar with where you are so you don't run aground. And and this is the oldest nautical instrument known to seamen. It's a compass, and of all the instruments going around, if I had to pick one, it'd be that one. And this instrument tells you two things. It tells you how hard the wind's blowing, and from what direction it's blowing in relationship to the boat. And that's a critical piece of information to know, because it's the wind in relationship to the boat. It tells you how to trim your sails. We thought when we go to Southwest Florida, move down here, we're going to take off for the Bahamas. Well, we've never been to the Bahamas because we've never felt the need for it. About 30 miles down here, you've got the Everglades, and you can go into there are all kinds of little harbors to cruise in the Everglades, and nobody around to bother you. It's like Florida the way God made it to begin with. At night, you can go down there, and there are a lot of places. There's absolutely no light pollution from any towns. And there are more stars than you can imagine that show up down there. You just don't want to go down there after May. Mosquitoes, they are huge and hungry. People who don't live here would kill to be able to have places like Sanibel to go exploring around, and right over across the way here there's a neat little harbor. And a lot of these places aren't too far from a good restaurant, so if you're hungry, you can get a good meal. I think we're going to put Dan to work. Just let it go. That's Fibber McGee's closet down there.
Well, your boat here is just a classic sailboat yacht lines. It just looks so wonderful from a distance, so pleasing to the eye, and it's functional. It's something you can use, but it's a beautiful thing to look at.
Well, it is, and the interesting thing about sailboats is the prettier they are and the prettier they look, the better sailboat they are. And this, one of the things that attracted us to this boat was because it was designed by Sparkman and Stevens. They designed beautiful boats. They have never designed an ugly sailboat. And they know how to make the right compromises. The sailboat is synonymous with the word compromise. And you can get a beautiful sailboat where the compromises for room and livability have not been sacrificed entirely. But the thing I love about this boat is that it sails beautifully, and it will do everything a good sailboat should do.
Well, Barry, thank you so much for sharing your boat with us and telling us a little bit about this whole wonderful world of sailing. We appreciate you sharing with us here on Cool Keels, and we'll see you next time here at the Shell Point Marina.
Well, you can rest assured that you won't see any icebergs in this next segment. Barry Smith is sailing his boat around the beautiful waters surrounding Shell Point, and he is going to share some insight into the wonderful world of sailing.
Hi, this is Dan Filgreen here for another episode of Cool Keels here at the Shell Point Marina. And we're back here with Barry Smith on his boat, Halcyon Days 3. And today we're going to learn a little bit about the fine art of sailing and kind of what it's all about from Barry, who's done it for quite a while now.
In this boat, we have a motor like most boats like mine do. And my personal preference is we don't use the motor unless there's no wind or unless we're coming into and out of the dock. I've been sailing quite a long while, and one of the pleasures that I get is making the sailboat do things that are not so easy to do. And it's just like any other sport. You develop certain skills and they become second nature. So we don't motor unless the wind quits or we want to charge the batteries.
There's a magical quality about sailing that even the most experienced sailors spend a lifetime exploring and never quite find the end of it, and that's what makes it so wonderful. But Barry, maybe you can demystify some of the basics for us today.
One of the questions that non-sailors always ask sailors is, how do you guys go against the wind? Well, that's a very good question, and it's a skill that's been developed over the centuries. For example, if you look at these pictures of various sailing rigs, one of the very earliest rig was just the mast with a flat sail, probably developed by the Phoenicians or the Egyptians. The boats were made of reed, and the sail was only useful going downwind. That means they could only sail with the wind blowing from behind the boat. So it wasn't very efficient, but if you were a rower in those days, why, it was considered a major breakthrough. Then somebody invented what is known as the lateen rig. And the lateen rig allowed the boats to sail broadside to the wind with the wind coming over the side. So now they could sail downwind and they could sail across the wind. And at some point in time, somebody invented the keel or a centerboard, which stuck down in the water, and that kept the boats from sliding sideways and converted that motion to speed ahead. The real breakthrough came with the invention of the fore and aft rig, and that's what we have on this boat and all modern sailboats. Fore and aft means that the sails are all run from the stern to the bow. And with those sails, you can sail close to the wind, not into the wind. No sailboat goes straight into the wind. You have to sail about 45 degrees to the wind. That's as close as you can get. So if you want to go straight north, and if the wind is coming from straight north, then the best you can do is a 45-degree angle, or go northeast or go northwest. But that way you can get, by zigzagging through the water, you can get straight upwind. The next point of sail that is quite easy to do is reaching. That means with the wind coming straight over the side of the boat, or running. Running means that the wind is coming from behind the boat and you're kind of running with the wind. Let's talk some more about this tacking business, because That's probably the trickiest thing to understand and to learn. So this diagram shows what the author has called a no-go zone. That's 45 degrees to the wind. You can't get any closer than 45 degrees in most sailboats. Some of the very modern hotshots will do a little better, but for all practical purposes, it's 45 degrees. So when you're sailing 45 degrees, if the wind is coming from the top of the page here, and you're sailing 45 degrees to the wind, you're going this way, as shown in this diagram. If you want to go the other direction, you can tack through 90 degrees so that you are now 45 degrees to the wind on the other tack. And that's the way you zigzag upwind. And it adds, in total distance, it adds, if my geometry is right, it adds about 1/3 more distance to do it that way. Now, when you get on a sailboat, if you're reasonably experienced, the skipper's going to assume that there's a basic understanding of how things are done. There's a basic understanding of how you trim the sails. And the first rule of good sail trim is to let the sail out as far as it'll go without it luffing or shaking along the mast. The minute that happens, you have to trim it in a little bit or head down so you get more wind in the sail. People who fly airplanes will analogize that to stalling in an airplane. And I have taught captains on American Airlines how to sail, and they learn very, very quickly, because to them sailing is very much like flying a light airplane. The smaller the boat that you learn to sail in, the better off you are. For example, I have a 9-foot sailing dinghy that I originally bought to teach all of my grandchildren. And the name of that dinghy is Full Circle, because that's the size dinghy that I learned to sail in when I was 6 and 7 years old. And now I'm sailing it more than I do the big boat. So small boats are very important, because when you make a mistake in a small sailboat, it's very obvious. And when the wind changes direction or the wind changes its velocity, it's very obvious in a small boat. In a big boat like this, it's much, much harder to really get a feel for what's going on in a sailboat. And feel is a very important part of sailing. For example, when a puff comes across the water and you're in my dinghy, when that puff hits the dinghy instantly heels over. And you have to do something. Because if it's a strong puff and you don't do something, you can go swimming. If you're in a big boat like this one and a puff hits and you don't do anything, it's kind of a so what. And the only time it really makes a difference is if you're on a race course. So when we raced this boat, the really good sailors who were the real serious competition were all people, men and women, who grew up sailing small boats and then graduated into the big boats. Speaking of women in sailing, that's one of the marvelous things about sailing as a sport, because sailing tends to be a brain sport. So ever since I was a kid, some of the really hot sailors were the young girls in the club. For several reasons, they tend to mature quicker mentally than a lot of boys did. They have powers of concentration, and the physical differences didn't make much difference. And today, the speed record around the world in a 65-foot monohull, single-handed boat, the speed record is held by a young British woman about 26 or 27 years old. So it's a great sport for kids of all sizes, shapes, forms, and sexes. Now, one of the fussy things that sailors talk about are knots. And you see all kinds of knots, most of them tied improperly. And there's a very good reason to be fussy about tying knots. And that's because knots were developed in the olden sailing days when a knot, properly tied or improperly tied, could be a matter of life and death. And they found that there are certain knots that worked and certain that didn't. So the criteria for a good knot is that, of course, has to hold. Then you have to be able to untie it. And that's the failing with a granny knot, for example. Everybody's familiar with a granny knot, which is a screwed up square knot. And the granny knot will jam under pressure, so it can jam so hard you'll never get it undone without a knife. So you have to be able to untie it. And if possible, you want to be able to untie it under load. And those are the rules that all good sailors understand. All of the parts of a boat have a name. That is so that you can communicate without doubt under all kinds of conditions. And remember, the conditions we're talking about were back in the days when it was all voice. There was no cell phones, there was no radio, there was no augmentation of sound. So what you said had to be clearly understood with no mistakes, because a mistake can get somebody hurt. So all of the lines have special names for the sails up forward and for the mainsail, the halyards that pull the sails up and down. They all have very specific names. One of the things that people ask me here at Shell Point is, where do you sail? Can you sail this boat in the river? And they'll point out that when they see sailboats in the river, most of the time these boats are going under power. Well, the answer, can you sail in the river? You certainly can. And it's a question of doing what's fun, and it's a question of not being in a big hurry. Now, if you have to tack up the river or to go in the direction you want to go, that of course takes time. So a lot of people simply don't want to fool with that. On weekends, when the river is loaded with motorboat traffic, I don't try to tack up and down the river simply because I worry about the fact that many of the power boaters coming down the river don't know what a sailboat's going to do when they're tacking. So just to be safe and to keep everybody collision free, I tend to power up and down the river. But during the week when I go sailing, I sail up and down the river. The thing that makes it particularly difficult in this river is the current, and tacking against the current just is time consuming. But it's a very good way to keep your sailing skills sharp and not forget how to make a boat go to windward. Well, I hope this discussion on tacking, going upwind, and reaching, going across the wind, and running, going downwind, and the explanation of the various rigs has helped demystify a little of this, how boats sail against the wind.
Well, Skipper, thanks so much for sharing your boat with us and telling us about this great world of sailing that you enjoy so much.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you both aboard. And this marina is one of the best hurricane holes in all of Southwest Florida. It's beautifully protected. You've got the mangroves over there that'll break up any wind coming from that direction, and the surges can't get at us. And you've got these buildings here. So if I had a boat and didn't belong to Shell Point, I would wish I could. So we're very fortunate to have it. And it's been a pleasure having you guys aboard. See you again on Cool Keels.
Well, it's a beautiful morning here in Southwest Florida. A great day to be on the water. And I'm here with our President Emeritus, Peter Dice, on the beautiful Suzy Q tour boat that is owned by Shell Point. And this vessel holds 26 passengers plus a crew of 2, and it's a very stable, very seaworthy vessel and a wonderful amenity for Shell Point. But if you've noticed, this happens to be the Suzy Q5, it says on the side, and that means, Pete, there were 4 other boats that came before this one, 4 other Suzy Qs. How did we get to have such a wonderful amenity?
Well, that's a very interesting history, but I do remember the original Suzy Q1 and the motivation behind it. And I think, you know, Shell Point is a unique place. No place do you have the water like Shell Point has. But Shell Point also is unique in its tremendous residents and their benevolence. And this is a testimony to it because from the very inception, it was all financed by residents who contributed to the purchase of the boats and the motivation to get out there and enjoy the beauty that's there and to share it with anyone else that would be interested. My earliest recollection of this was in the mid-'80s with a gentleman by the name of Dave Haley. Dave had been at Shell Point for some time. It's reported possibly he started in '79, but he and his wife really enjoyed this location. They had a pontoon and made it a part of their life to go around the mangroves and around Shell Point. And they started sharing that a little bit with others who had similar interests but didn't have a boat. It only held about 6 people, so it was a relatively small vessel. And about that time, Norm Wood, a new resident, came along and lived in Teledora. Norm was passionate about the pontoon and getting out in the water and enjoying the beautiful setting. And Norm really started to come to the forefront, especially as Dave's health began to deteriorate. Like all of us, the boat also deteriorated a little bit. And at that point, Norm came to me and he said, you know, this is something that's of value to Shell Point and it's unique to Shell Point. He said, we really need to continue it. And I said, great, Norm. I think that's a wonderful idea. We decided, let's go out for a fundraiser. And Norm led that fundraiser by passion, not by skill, and was very convincing and was able to get the support through a fundraising program at Shell Point to buy a new boat. And that was the Suzy Q2. And Suzy Q2, to the best of my knowledge, continued until about 2000. And when it was purchased, it had the intent in mind to expand the services by frequency and the number of people who can enjoy it. So I think that some of the narrators that are on our Suzy Q will talk of one of the funniest experiences I heard involving Norm as they were going through the mangroves, and Norm was in front narrating what they were seeing. The boat slowed down rather quickly and a bit of a wave hit it, and as Norm was talking he lost his balance and fell overboard. So it was a great learning experience. While the demand grew, they felt it was time to see if we could go out and get a little bit bigger boat. A Suzy Q3 I think had space for about 12 to 13 people, maybe a few more than that. I remember I was working in my office on a Saturday, and Norm came to the window because the doors were locked and pounded on the window of my office, and he motioned to let him in. And what touched me was Norm said, I just got a call from Barbara Wood, and Barbara told me that she wanted to donate all the money that was necessary for the Suzy Q3. And he started crying. Wow. He was so emotionally touched by this, and his joy of seeing this thing perpetuated and his ideas were going to become a reality. So what we see here again is the joy of a donor to benefit the residents based on the skill and commitment of individuals who are willing to operate it and to take the lead. So that leads us to the Suzy Q4. There were starting to be some real intense interests in this project, mainly in the form of growing numbers of residents we had at Shell Point, but also their guests. Sales would even get into it a bit. You know, what better thing is there to do than to have prospects who come and get on the Suzy Q and just tour around the beautiful location.
Who else can offer that, right?
Nobody can offer it. So we were always mindful of the fact that we got to show people what they can't get any other place is what they've got here. Show them what you can't replicate this location. The Suzy Q4, I think, was a 16 to 18 passenger vehicle and a crew of 3. I think in that period of time, the Coast Guard became more formal. We became a little bit more prominent. The licensure conditions on many boats was escalating, but you had events such as, I believe, there was a tragic event in the Baltimore Harbor, and subsequently we've seen things in Miami and other places where party boats on a pontoon capsized or there was death or drowning that was occurring, and for regulatory purposes there was merit to the Coast Guard trying to get a handle on things. Fortunately, the volunteers had set up a system so that we had policies. We had a maintenance program. When the formal embrace of the program was put in place, Shell Point agreed to maintain the boat. So the upkeep and maintenance was basically Shell Point's responsibility. But again, the policies for operating that and the people to operate it were all those wonderful volunteers. With this, Coast Guard starting to really hone in on us. They were requiring some major modifications to that boat, and it was far more costly than the value of the boat. And ultimately, the Coast Guard gave an ultimatum. You either comply or we're shutting you down, and we had to just pull back. And
so at this point, the 4 was a couple of years in service? Is that correct?
Yes, my knowledge is that came along about 2008. And probably was in place for another, I would say 4 years maybe. There was a gap in between the 4 and the 5.
Because we were shut down for around a year, as I recall.
Yeah, I think at least that long. But the volunteers working with our staff said, let's find out what it's going to take. And what must we do? We feel that we need a boat as big or larger than the Suzy Q4. And that actually occurred.
And this is a boat built nearby here. There's similar boats in service, so it's a known quantity. It's a boat that's functioning under the Coast Guard rules and so forth. So it was a known quantity to get this exact type of a boat.
It was. And one of the other key issues that brought down the other Suzy Q, you also had to have a licensed captain. And a licensed captain comes with a cost and an obligation, so we had to be quite sure we're going to be able to accommodate people. We could handle the guests that were going to be used. So this vessel came along with a lot of attention to the local needs and the Coast Guard requirements and the interests of Shell Point, and working with the Coast Guard, finally got their sign off, and this is the boat that we have today.
So what we have today is a much more substantial vessel than the Suzy Q4. It was quite a quantum leap, wasn't it?
Yes, a huge leap from a technological perspective and a size perspective and an operating perspective.
And legally, because it is Coast Guard licensed, it's quite beyond a recreational boat. It's a commercial boat. Many advantages for everyone to enjoy.
It is, though, something that is built to handle the waters of this area and the accommodation of what it is that Shell Point wanted to do for the benefit of the residents. And I think continues to be just a marvelous benefit to our community, and emphasizes the uniqueness of our community. Water all the way around us, and why not enjoy it?
Absolutely.
That was the plea of Dave Haley when he got going. One other thing that intrigues me, and people have asked, is where did the name Suzy Q come from? I have no idea. Other than I would, if I had to guess, it was the name that Dave Haley had on his pontoon when he came to Shell Point, and that's what it was known.
So he knows why it's called that.
Yeah,
maybe it's a daughter or a granddaughter.
It may have been. I know it wasn't his wife's name, but it was something. He was a boatman. He probably had 10 of them in his life. But that's the best answer I can give. Not that it's historically accurate.
Well, there we go, folks. Short history of the Susie Q. A wonderful testament to not only 5 generations of boats, but 5 generations of donors, of volunteers, of passionate folks who have wanted to share the wonderful water around Shell Point with all of you. And that's something that I encourage you to do. If you haven't been on the Susie Q, book a trip, get out here, enjoy the water. If you've been before, I'm sure you'll want to go again and bring your family and your friends. So here's to enjoying the beautiful wonder of God's creation around Shell Point.
Hello, Shell Point. We are out here on the beautiful Caloosahatchee River today aboard the Irish Rover, owned by Mr. Ron Tertiak here. And Ron is the guy who got the boat club going a few years ago and was going great gangbusters for a while. Slowed down a little bit. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But first, Ron, I understand you were up north in the off season and doing your gig up there, which is what?
I have a full-time job as captain of the Song River Queen. It's a 93-foot stern wheeler, pretty much like the Delta Queen. It's 300 passengers, and it's supposed to be retired. Last year I worked 6 days a week, and at one point 22 out of 24 nights.
Wow.
But it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of theme cruises. We had a Neil Diamond tribute band, a lot of disco bands, so it's kind of neat to get paid to
now I understand
spend time on a boat.
A few years ago, a bridge went up that kind of threatened your normal route there. It kind of threatened to shut the whole thing down, didn't it?
It certainly did. We used to go down to the Song River Lock. It was a very historic trip. But the state, in its infinite wisdom, decided to replace this swing bridge to get there with a fixed bridge. They didn't build it quite high enough for us to get under. So the first couple of years was rough. Not only the loss of the trip, but we also had construction along the causeway, so it didn't entice people to go.
Right.
But it's turned to be a blessing in disguise. It's a beautiful causeway now, attracts people, and our business has never been better.
That's great. Well, coming back here to Florida, I guess your boat was kind of laid up here while you're up there doing that. How are things on the Irish Rover?
Surprisingly well. Every year you come down here, you turn the key, and you kind of hope it's going to start. Been sitting here all summer long. It never fails first try.
Well, we were out chasing the Susie Q on the Irish Rover a little bit today. I've got some nice shots that I'm sure you'll enjoy. So I appreciate you helping us out with that, Ron.
Okay, my pleasure.
And what's in stock for the boat club? Any ideas about the future of the boat club?
Hopefully there are some boaters Shell Point watching this program. And please get a hold of me. I'm sure you put my name and phone number up on the screen there. And I'd like to get active. And again, it can't be one person. So again, some of the things we've done in the past, we've gone on night cruises, parties on the dock. But we have a lot of new boaters, and hopefully they'll take some interest, get a hold of me, and let's get this show
a lot of great,
on the road again.
More fun to do it with friends, isn't it?
It sure is. We have a lot of new people joining Shell Point, perhaps don't have boats. We have a lot of boats that people, get sick and get tired of boating. There's a boat right next to me, a beautiful pontoon boat. It's relatively new, great shape. The owners decided it's getting too old to boat. So get a hold of me. I can tell you about the boat. And that happens quite frequently. You don't need to, and you get some great deals. Shell Point Sharper is another deal.
When I came down here, I didn't even consider boating because I thought, oh, that's beyond my means. But there are some great bargains to be had, and if you want a boat, there's a way to do it, isn't there?
And it's a great place to boat. You don't need a big yacht. pontoon boats, a small boat, protected waters. You're in the intercoastal waterway here.
The smaller the boat, the more you go out, right?
Well, I've got a 22-footer. I've been to Lake Okeechobee several times, up to Tampa. In fact, on November 1st, we're going up to Tampa for a 3-day trip down to the Everglades. So you don't need a big boat. But you need to take some classes and learn how to use it.
Yeah. Well, I've got a very inexpensive little sailboat myself, and I can attest that these waters are absolutely a joy to be out on. It's wonderful. Any day on the water is a great day, isn't it?
Well, look around what we're doing here.
Absolutely. Well, there you go, Shell Point. Make it a point to get out here on the water one way or another, on your own boat or on a friend's boat, Susie Q. Anyway, got to get out here on this water and enjoy it. Hope you have a great day.